Welcome to the Atomic Beer Show. My name is Josh.
And I am Don.
And we are here to talk about beer.
Lots of beer.
And we're coming straight from the Fallout shelter.
Yes.
Well, this is episode 22, and later on in this episode, we will have a special guest who's a taproom manager from
Backstreet
Brewing. Wow. I just had a major brain fart, probably because we already did Beer Share number 1.
That's right. We're doing this one right here.
Yeah. So, Don, talk about what we are doing right now.
We are drinking from Third Window Brewing out of beautiful city of Santa Barbara. We're drinking the Darkish. It has aromas of coffee, caramel, raisin, flavors of wafer cookie, brown sugar, toffee, and it comes in at a beautiful 6% APV.
Nice. It's a darkish lager, and it does have all those wonderful tastes and flavors. And I tell you, it's a refreshing beer. I think Third Window makes some good stuff.
Third Window is good. I like it.
Yeah.
They have a cool little spot. It's located at 406 East Haley Street in Santa Barbara.
Nice.
Kind of rustic. I think there's wine next door also.
Oh, there you go.
Serving food on I don't know if it's on a regular basis. I was up there during, the stay-at-home stuff, so they weren't serving anything. They had growlers to go again.
All the restrictions.
Ordered online, and I was able to pick it up right up in the front. I don't know what's changed now that we've gone into phase 3.
If people are interested in our beer shares that we've done, Don's actually accumulated the list, and this is number 55, I think, or 53.
Woo!
Something.
53
since we started
beer
the show.
53.
Yeah, so we if you're interested in any of the beers we've shared over the past 22 episodes, we're going to have that. And then we're definitely going to have some Backstreet beers on this episode when Brit Costello gets on the show with us. So if you do enjoy the podcast, we really... Well, first of all, thank you for all of you that have listened to every episode, or even one episode, or even 3 minutes of an episode. I think it's great that you're finding us out there and you're listening. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts,
Podbean,
yeah, and then Spotify and Google Chrome.
Chrome,
yay! Google Chrome. That's got a lot of love.
Social media, we've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah.
The mothership is www.atomicbeershow.com.
And in time, that'll be bigger. Right now, you can watch videos, and there's a little shop button on there. Eventually, you click it, and there will be stuff on there.
Hopefully, yeah.
We're hoping
yes,
it'll happen. So we're very thankful. We love our listeners. We love people who love good beer, love craft beer. We have a big passion for it, and we're interested in talking with the local breweries, people who work in the brewery industry, and that's what we're going to get in this episode today. So hang in there, or we're going to get Brit on the phone. Don, before we bring our guests onto the show, I just wanted to talk about one of the first times I went to Backstreet Brewing, and it was one of those breweries that was down the street. So many breweries in the area and whatnot, but I finally made it to Backstreet Brewing. It was one of those breweries that once you go to, you always want to go back because how welcomed I felt when I was there.
Exactly.
And I think I even told you if I ever wanted to open a brewery, that's what it would be, just like that. It was nice to finally get to meet Brit Costello, who's the taproom manager at Backstreet Brewing, who we actually have on the line with us right now. So hi, Brit. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Brit.
So we've had a lot of questions. We talked to you for for a while now, and got to know you. One of the things that the one question we always wanted to kind of ask you was your passion for craft beer. Is it a passion? Is this something you've been doing for a long time? We just love Backstreet. But what got you into this?
To be honest, I'm actually pretty new to this game. I was a stay-at-home mom when I was younger for 6 years, and decided, that I was going to go back to work. But after not working for 6 years, my options were rather limited. So I felt like getting into the food industry was, the best move for me. And I literally worked myself up from, a cocktail waitress to then being one of the head bartenders that opened up a restaurant called Stacked in Huntington Beach. And I was there for a long time and just kind of moved through different jobs. And And then I had my daughter, and I decided that I was going to try and take a break from bartending. I've been doing it for so long, and I started working at a bakery, and I really enjoyed it. But, I found that minimum wage was not exactly what I was used to, and being a mom of 4, it wasn't exactly what I could stay with. So I decided to get back into the industry, but I definitely found that bartending was not really my thing. I've never been much of a hard alcohol drinker, and so it just didn't exactly speak to me. And then I saw an ad for a brewery, and I applied, and I was like, yes, I could pour beer all day.
Right.
Totally.
Nice.
That's super easy. I've got this. So I went to work there, and I very quickly found out that, the brewing industry is kind of a whole different world. And you have to know what you're talking about. My counterparts would get asked questions, and they would have all the answers to them. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, I have no idea. It wasn't enough to just be, a face behind the bar. Like, you had to know what you were talking about. People want to know about their beer, and they will ask you questions, and you have to be ready to answer them. And so that was really a challenge for me I need to learn this stuff. And, I started asking more questions to, my other counterparts and the other employees and, the brewer and my bosses, and just started picking up information anywhere that I could. I really had this drive that I wanted to be able to answer any question that was thrown my way. And I still have a lot of learning to do. I still have so much learning to do, but I feel like I have a much better grasp than I did then, and have just seen my own journey through beer really turn into something crazy. When I first started, I loved sours. I was a sour fanatic. I absolutely love sours, and it was all I drank. And I would sit there and be like, I do not like IPAs. I don't like the bitterness. I don't like any of that. I am strictly sours. And then over time, I felt like, okay, you can't just stick to just sours forever. I need to be able to branch out. I need to at least try. And then a shift started happening, and I started with, a lot of lighter IPAs, and quickly discovered that I loved the Citra hop. I love it. And so I then very much became aware that I love hazies. I love a really good juicy hazy, and that just seems to be my niche. And now I drink more IPAs than anything else. And my tolerance for sours has completely gone down. I used to be able to put a couple away, and now it's one good one and I'm good. So it's been very interesting to see just my palate just change over time and learn what I liked. And I feel like I'm still learning. I know I told you the other day that I discovered a triple that I liked, and oh gosh, that was so good. And so I'm still finding my way through, and just trying to learn as much as I can along the way. And but it was definitely a push for me, and over time I just found that I loved this industry. I loved the people. I loved the creativity that goes into making a beer. Different styles, so many different flavors that get put into it. And I just found it to be so beautiful and so fascinating to me. It was this world that I never had given much thought to before. It's just, oh yeah, beer. Okay, whatever, Blue Moon. and I did not even slightly realize that there was just this entire world. And I have just been sucked in ever since. And I love seeing what breweries put out, how imaginative they get, and the flavors that they're able to achieve is just incredible. And that has definitely, spurred a big passion in me to stick around and make myself a part of this.
Yeah.
So what led you to Backstreet? Because you were somewhere else before, right? And how long?
Yeah. So I was at Barley Forge before, and then I left there and got picked up at Backstreet. I was just really ready to push myself even further. I had been beer tending, but I really felt a draw to the tasting room and how the tasting room runs. Like I said, my knowledge on beer is rather limited, and I'm still learning, but I definitely felt like I could see how a good tasting room could be run, and even like social media and things like that. So when I got picked up by Backstreet, Tim needed someone. You know, Tim has the brewing side, and he is so busy over there that he needed someone to take his tasting room, give it some TLC, and you know, just make it better. And I really had an eye for that. At least I definitely thought I did. But I'd also never been in that position of being able to run anything. So it was kind of one of those where it was like, I think I can do this job. I really do. But I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I guess we're going to see. And I got so insanely lucky with Tim and with Backstreet, because Tim really just handed me the reins and was like, I believe in you. I think you have good vision, and I'm just going to let you go. And I took off like a shot. Redid a lot of the inside, redid a lot of the patio, just gave that place an extra, you know, some extra. One thing I've definitely discovered is that, yes, having, you know, great beer is obviously the most important thing about a brewery, but it's also just that atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And what else are you providing people besides just great beer is a good time.
Right.
So the most simple things, like having games, having board games. I started picking up tons of games, you know, Jenga sets, all of these different games, and games for kids as well. I mean, all of us breweries are kid friendly, and the kid aspect is really huge, because parents love to be able to go out and hang out at a brewery, but you're not going to be able to do that for very long if your kids are not happy.
Oh, yeah.
So as a parent of four myself, I started bringing in like tons of toys. Even we have that whole outdoor area. So I brought chalk and like all this stuff, and people just started loving it. And, you know, their kids were playing everywhere. And I would start hearing kids going, I love coming here. I want to come back. Can we come back?
Like, absolutely.
And, like, hearing that, I was like, yes. I felt so good to hear that. I was like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. You know, I need to give everyone something that they want to come back to. Even small things like, you know, we had that wooden wall that now has our big logo on it, the street local.
Right.
As soon as I saw that patio and I saw that wall, I was like, something needs to be there. Something needs to be there. And I would like it to be our logo, because, you know, in this day and age, social media is so huge, and people want to be able to take a picture of something cool, take a picture in front of something cool. Even just little changes like that, I saw people start to really dig it. And so I just kept going and, you know, updating the decor inside too. And just really focusing on, it's the little things. It's the little things that you can do and provide your guests outside of just your beer that are going to want them to stay longer and to come back. I also got really lucky because Backstreet has an incredible staff. You know, I've had a lot of jobs, and one thing that was always pretty obvious was that, you know, especially in the food service industry, when I was at restaurants and stuff like that, people generally weren't thrilled with their job. You know, it's a tough one, and people come and go a lot. And with Backstreet, like, they are a family. You know, these were all people who had been there for a really long time. You know, it was their side job, but a lot of them didn't even need to work there. They just liked it, and they wanted to be there, and they loved Backstreet. And that was very interesting to see. You know, my staff is incredible, and I feel that I have a very strong team, and they really know what they're doing. And so, you know, we definitely have our little Backstreet family, and I got so lucky with Tim and with Bob. They're incredible. Easily the best boss I've ever had. And so it just, you know, I created this little family that I got to pick up, and just, we've all grown together so much over the last year. In fact, I'm coming up on my 1 year on the 26th, you know, coming up on a year, and it's been a wild ride. It's been so much fun. Another big thing that I implemented was, events. I had gone to events of the, you know, trivia at the breweries and stuff like that, but I just started coming up with more ideas and more things, just, again, to give that added level of fun, give people a reason to come in, think outside the box ideas. Like one of my most fun ones that I ever did was my beer speed dating. And I was so nervous about it. And I swear I was like just a nervous wreck even through the whole thing. But like at the end, I ended up watching like two different couples leave together, and like everybody was still hanging out afterwards. And like it went perfectly and flawlessly, and it was so much fun. And like people talked about it for a while, and so I was like, yes, you know, like you just have to come up with those out of the box things, And I feel like that's really where my strengths lie, for sure.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, well, one of the things you mentioned, and it's something I've had lots of conversations with people about, was the families at the breweries and stuff, and how you shouldn't take kids to a bar. There's out drinking going on and all this stuff. And and it's like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, is there a difference between a brewery and a bar, like an actual bar?
I do believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, I wouldn't be taking my kids to a bar, but I don't feel like, when you come to breweries, it is a craft beer industry. And so I feel like there is kind of a difference between just wanting to go drink at a bar and wanting to go try craft beer. Most of us, we're not going there to down as many, double IPAs as we possibly can.
Oh, no.
It's this thing where we're trying different things, but it's not for that necessarily.
Yeah.
So for me, like I can't take my kids to a bar, obviously. So being able to have some place where I can go have a drink, with my family and my kids are there, I felt that is super important. And I've heard the same thing where people are like, you shouldn't be allowed to bring kids there. And it's like, okay, but then there's no options for parents. And I also find that a lot of the breweries are owned by families, by family men who have wives and have their kids. And I watch children, grow up in the brewing world. So I think it's amazing to watch, and I do not feel that it's the same as taking your kids to a bar. I don't feel it is.
Totally agree.
I feel it's a very different atmosphere. And I've also never once in the entire time that I've been doing this, seen a family come in and watch the parents just get, completely drunk and their kids are just running around. Like I've never seen that. That's not a thing.
If anything, they're going to be more responsible. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I just feel it's a different atmosphere. And I feel that it is a family friendly one. And, it's important that we do get to go out with our kids and have fun at places. But it's also good for parents too. We need a chance to break away and be able to just go enjoy a beer sometimes, and being able to bring your kids is nice.
Absolutely. I think my son's been to at least 30 different breweries. Easily. He's been all over the place. So, are you ready to crack open these beers? Are we going to get these late to the parties?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Don's ready.
Now,
just a little something about Don, Britt, is that he's not a big IPA guy.
I'm getting back into it.
He's getting back into it. But when you were talking about how you got back in IPA and the juicy hazies and everything, and I've been bringing that more and more over to Don and sharing that with him.
And see, that's where I am too. I'm starting to really like the big juice bombs that they have.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a big can.
I love those as well. It does kind of tie in with also liking sours. I feel like those who truly like sours also tend to also lean towards the juicy haze bombs for sure. I feel like it's a good middleman between super bitter beers and the sours.
Oh man, I just cracked this and I can just smell the Citra immediately.
So while he pours those, quick question on locations. You guys are still, obviously you're in Anaheim. And Vista and Irvine, are they back up and running right now?
They are, yeah. They're back up and running. Still doing the social distancing thing. Those locations are also tied to Lamppost Pizzas, so they're more restaurants with Backstreet, attached to them. So, during all of the COVID shutdown, they were still able to do to-go pizzas, and that was a really big thing too. Is you started seeing a lot of restaurants doing the create your own. We'll give you the ingredients that you need, and then you get to take it home and put it together however you'd like. And that was a really good idea. During this COVID stuff, all of us really had to get creative with how to keep ourselves open, and seeing those I thought was such a great idea that the other two locations had that availability with regards to food.
And how far are you guys from Anaheim Stadium? It's like within a mile walking distance?
We are directly across the street.
So it's just a nice
we are
little
literally
walking
within
distance?
walking distance. Yep. Mm-hmm. We are straight across the street. During baseball season, that's always nice because we get some nice crowds for that. But yeah, we are right across the street from there. Tucked away in a little industrial area behind the core apartment complex.
Yeah, pretty easy to get
to. All of those apartment complexes were not there. And we opened 4 years ago. You know, over time, they just started popping up all over the place. And now we're surrounded by all these really awesome apartment complexes that definitely bring people in to, you know, when they find us and see that we're back there, they're like, this is great. You know, it's a little brewery that's literally within walking distance. And so that's been a huge and awesome added bonus to meeting a lot of really amazing people and just giving them somewhere to go. In fact, Josh, you live in some of the apartment complexes, right?
Yeah, we actually walked there yesterday. We came over to see you. So
Yeah.
it ended up being, hey, let's take a walk around the stadium let's go here. And then like, well, it's almost 2. They're opening. So let's just walk over. That's what it ended up being.
Gosh, those places are gorgeous. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's nice being close to everything right there.
For sure.
All right. So what is it that we're drinking here? Late to the party, right?
Yes. Yeah. Our late to the party, Citra IPA. And they called it late to the party because it was a late edition of the Citra hop and hence the late to the party. The late is my absolute and has been since day one, my favorite of Backstreet beers. It's so crisp. I love the flavor and it is easily my go-to. We have a lot of good beers, but that one is just my constant favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it.
I like it. It's not over. You can get the Citra really well.
Right. Right.
It's very crisp. It's very clean. It's very tasty. It's one I get when I'm there too, especially on Mondays. You guys still doing your $4 drafts?
Yeah. So every Monday is our $4 pint night. That has been solidly one of our busiest nights of the week. It's just a really good deal. Any beer that's below 7% ABV is $4, and you know, I always have a food truck there, so it's just a really nice break to come grab a couple pints and, you know, grab some food, and it's always a really fun night.
Yeah, I think I snuck in there a couple of Mondays, and
yes.
Oh man, and that was back when the Tomahawk was actually part of the deal, and I don't think it is anymore because that's like what 9%. So
yeah, it's not anymore.
Oh. Oh man, that's a good thing.
Yes, it is. That one is a dangerous one at $4.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Oh man, well, you were talking about when we asked you about the other locations and stuff during the downtime. There's, you know, obviously it's an unprecedented time right now with the pandemic going on and everything, and all the different breweries are doing different things and trying to stay afloat. And I know I've been over there a few times because you guys had great specials on $2 cans, and you know, you had deals with money off crowlers and growlers and everything else. And how did you guys make it through there? And how did it? What were some of the ideas you guys had? I'm kind of curious. Was there anything that you guys didn't implement that might have been like a new idea?
You know, obviously this all happened very fast, and all of us in the brewing industry, all of the breweries really had to very quickly think on our feet and figure out how were we going to stay open when we didn't even know how long we were going to be closed. You know, I feel like we all got really lucky by being able to switch over to go beers, you know, the crowlers, the growlers, things like that. And I feel like us being able to do that, I think it's definitely what saved many of us, if not all of us. And it was also cool because you got to see the support from your community, you know, people who are still willing to show up because they miss your beer. They want to be able to support you because, you know, your customers, they don't want you to go out of business. They will do whatever they have to try and help keep you open. And I think all of us breweries got to watch, you know, our amazing customers that we're always there for be there for us. And so that was so incredible. And we only ended up doing to-go orders every Friday for 4 hours. I went in every Friday and did them myself. You know, I had the same people coming back every Friday. And so I started these little like relationships and rapport with people, and pretty much knew what they wanted as soon as they walked in the door. And that was really cool because, I mean, we all love our regulars. And so getting to, you know, find even more regulars during quarantine was like pretty awesome. You know, we definitely took the safety really seriously. You know, everybody was really respectful too. And that was the nice thing. You know, people wore masks when they came in. They had no problem waiting in line. And some people would even stand in line for like 20 minutes while I was just filling up tons of growlers and growlers, trying to move as fast as I could.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But it was just, you know, that definitely helped us stay afloat. And then when we were allowed to open back up, we figured out what we had to do in order to do it safely. And we've been slowly starting to come back to more of our regular hours and things like that. And now seeing those same people who were picking up to-go stuff during during that time are now getting to come in and sit back down at a table. So, so that's nice. It was so incredible just to see, your people just rally behind you and support you and help keep you open. It's community is so incredibly important, and we got to see that, and that was really amazing.
That's great. That was the thing, was like we talk a lot about on the show on how because we frequent a lot of breweries, and we visit as many as we can, communicate with them and just to see the different things they were doing to get their beer to us. It was really awesome that they were still around, and I don't think we really lost anybody in the whole process. No, I think all of our breweries that I know of are still in business. They're still around, so that's great. I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, that's been an amazing thing. During that, they were kind of giving us a lot of things, giving us bleak numbers, and we're saying, 30% of breweries or something are going to end up shut down during this, and I think it's just a testament to the brewing industry as a whole that we were able to think so quick on our feet. We were able to figure it out, and we fought to keep our breweries. We fought really hard, and most of us were able to do it. The brewing industry in general is just such a wonderful community. Besides the regulars coming in, one thing I also got to see, I'm friends with a lot of people in my industry, a lot of the other taproom managers, brewers, owners, things like that. And we all supported each other. Like, I live in Huntington Beach, and, I got beer delivered to me from RIP a couple of times and would go into a bunch of the other breweries and pick up beers. It was all about supporting each other. Watching social media and seeing, all of my other friends who are going to Gamecraft and getting things, or going to Beechwood, and like, we're all just supporting each other and showing our stuff on social media. And that was so cool. It wasn't just only care about ourselves. Like, we had to try and keep our friends open too. And that was another amazing thing to watch. So not only do we have great customers, but us as an industry, we are here for each other. We can't survive without each other, and I think that's really important. And all of us are, for the most part, like, close friends. So it was nice to see just everyone as a whole rally together, figure it out. And I really think that that's why so many of us were absolutely able to stay open.
And the one thing that I really appreciated with everybody was how quickly they made the adjustment so you could order online. So I made my rounds. I did some Legends, I did some Beechwood, I did some Backstreet, but it was so great just to be able to go on the internet, order it. And for those people that were a little leery about going out and spending some time in public and stuff, it was so great that you could just walk in, get your stuff, and walk right back out, and not have to worry about all that. So thank you so much for making that adjustment for us to get our product.
And I want to thank you too, because when there's a couple times that I made it over to the brewery, and not only did I get a great deal on some great beer, and I always said Animation IPA at $2 a can is a freaking steal. Just buy a case every time.
Right.
But just
we
do
got
it.
cleaned out of those so fast.
Oh,
that's awesome.
But the one thing that I did notice is that you always had masks available for us to if we needed one. And I know those were masks that you made. Am I right about that?
Yeah. So what ended up happening, my mother is a nurse up in Seattle. And when all of this was going on, she was in the thick of it. And, they were really struggling up there with getting a hold of PPE. And so, she came to me. I'm a seamstress, and I've been a seamstress for probably about 6 years. I taught myself how to sew because back then, my daughter Everly, who's 9 now, she was, super young. And back then it was before all of like the newer Star Wars movies came out. Nerdy stuff for little girls was like non-existent. I couldn't find an R2-D2 dress or a skirt or any of the stuff that is literally everywhere now. It did not exist back then. There was definitely, Star Wars stuff for boys, but there was nothing for girls. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to teach myself how to sew, and I'll just make her stuff myself. And I did exactly that. Picked up a sewing machine, watched a bunch of videos, taught myself how to sew, and I ended up sewing her a bunch of really amazing dresses. Not the best sewing I've ever done, but she loved them, And then fast forward a year, and then the next movie comes out, and then all of a sudden Star Wars stuff is just everywhere. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. But it gave me a skill. And so, over the years, I've definitely sewed stuff here and there. And for a minute, I got really into cosplay, and I was like sewing my own costumes. And so that was really fun. And it just so happened to really help out in this time. So my mom came to me and was like, hey, you're not working all the time anymore. So do you think that you could, sew some masks for me? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So I figured out a pattern. And I was lucky that I started making the masks really early before here in Orange County, before it started getting really crazy and everybody needed to have them.
Right.
So I was able to pick up a bunch of fabric, and I still had a ton of fabric in my garage from when I was making my girls' clothes. And so like all that Star Wars fabric and stuff like that I had. So I busted it all out, and I ended up making probably about 400 masks altogether, between 400 and like 450.
Oh, wow.
Sent tons of them to my mom, and it was kind of one of those things where I have a skill and there were people in need. Is my job to step up and utilize that skill. Yeah. And it ended up taking up tons of my time. I would wake up and be sewing until, midnight that night. But for me, this is what I needed to do. I could have just laid around outside or just, spent all that time with my kids and just been like, oh, I'm just going to, stay in quarantine and just do whatever. But for me, I was like, if I can help in any way, shape or form, it is my duty to help. I have a skill that I can utilize. I need to utilize it. So I started, just getting tons of fabric, and I was lucky that I got a hold of a ton of elastic, because that became extremely scarce. And then when the mask ordinance hit Orange County, there was one morning that I showed up to Joann's Fabric and waited in line for an hour, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And by that time, there were lines to get into Joann's Fabric just wrapping around the building. So luckily, I was able to make the majority of my masks before it all got super crazy. So I ended up sending all those masks up to my mom, and then started making them for here. I started getting hit up by people going, hey, can you make some for my family? Can you make, I have 2 kids, and I just started filling orders. I never charged for any of them. People were so quick to be like, well, I want to donate. Yeah. And so, I said, yeah, if people want to donate to me for supplies, that is hugely helpful, because it ended up becoming expensive pretty quick, having to buy all the stuff. But people immediately were like, yes, here's $20, here's, whatever. I even had people who didn't receive masks who were just like, I just want to support what you're doing. With that support from people and seeing the need for them, I just kept doing what I was doing. And then when it came to the brewery, a lot of customers were coming in, and I was hearing people say, we can't find masks anywhere. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to have them ready, because these are my people. These are my customers. They're showing up to support us. It's the least I can do to give them an extra way to stay safe. Started, bringing like 50 to 100 masks to every Friday, and all of them were gone by the time my shift was over. So it was just nice to be able to give back. And I really felt that I utilized my time the right way.
Yeah, I'm a recipient of one of your masks. I have a Stormtrooper one. That was
my Star Wars ones went so fast.
I think it's amazingly commendable what you did through the whole process.
For me, it was awesome. A nice exchange for the bag of fabric that I brought down. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you brought me a whole bunch, and a lot of people did. I had a bunch of people who were like, "Hey, I have fabric. I don't know how to sew, but here's fabric," and that was so helpful. That was amazing. So again, just like seeing people just rally behind like doing good. If you have a skill, do good. And I always tell my kids that no matter what you do, just do good. Do for others how you would want them to do for you. And I feel like I was definitely able to do that. So, and got so much help from people like you and others who just wanted to support in any way they could.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for what you did there. It's awesome.
And Britt, I know you also do a lot of support for a lot of other things too. One of the things I wanted to bring up, because I did have the pale ale. It was the boots.
Pink Boot Society?
Yeah.
Pink Boot Society.
Baby boots.
Yeah, I did have that, and I thought that was fantastic beer. And was that the beer you guys were doing for that when you guys were showing the pictures on Instagram?
Yeah, so we did the Pink Boot Society beer this year, and that was such an incredible experience. Gender equality in our industry has always been something that Backstreet works really hard for. For us, it just so happened that both myself, Tim, and Bob, we all have daughters. Our daughters all of our kids, but our daughters are watching us, as they grow up, and they're seeing what we do, and they have an interest in it. And so we just felt like, who better to teach than the next generation? So, when we got the Yakima Chief blend, had a teach your daughter to brew day. Myself, Tim, and Bob brought our daughters in, and it was so much fun. My youngest, Rowan, is pretty crazy, and so she was just happy to be there. But my daughter, Everly, she took such a shine to it, and she ended up mashing out better than I did, and she really was sweating out there, and she listened to everything Tim said and helped pour the hops in, and it was just so cool to see all of the girls just take such an interest and have so much fun with it. And we were joined by Demi from Gamecraft and Mary Jane and Ruby, and it was just a really awesome time of just our girls getting together and being able to show, our daughters, this is what we do. This is what you could do. Female brewers are becoming, much bigger in our community, and which is amazing. And so if we can inspire, any of the young girls to see, hey, this is fun. This is a career that you can absolutely attain. And that was just our way of taking the whole Pink Boots and putting our own little kind of spin on it. And it was a blast. And the beer came out incredible. Yeah. The hops blend was really good, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And it was a really fun time, and I feel like it was important. It was an important thing for us to do.
Yeah, I think it was awesome. And I was following you guys on Instagram through the whole process too, and this was and I didn't know what it was when I first saw it. So of course I get online, I do my research and look it up. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic.
I just remember seeing you on the front page of the beer news.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Seeing my face on there, I was like, oh my God, that's me.
I made it to the beer news. See, look what you can do within a year of being at Backstreet. You make the beer newspaper. That's great.
Appreciative for that. Super appreciative for that. Our community is definitely one that supports each other, and the whole Pink Boots movement. I'm also a huge lover of Girls in Craft too. What they do is it just gives us a little extra voice and a way to show our love for our industry, in our way. What they do is just so important for us females.
Yeah, one of the just going back to, because I saw you yesterday. I saw you yesterday. But one of the things that and we don't have to talk about the injury that you got recently. We don't have to bring that up. But I did. One thing I did point out was that you did have the R2D2 on there. And then also we were talking about this.
I know. I'm such a nerd. I was getting so bored of my boring cast, and I was like, I just need to cover this up with something cooler. One of those instances where being a seamstress came in handy. I just whipped out old material and was like, this just needs to be better. It was the first time I've ever had a cast or broken anything. So. Yeah, and I get it off on Wednesday.
That's good.
Oh, nice.
Forward to that.
Are you gonna save the cast?
Absolutely not. I'm going to throw it away.
It's probably not gonna smell very well.
Possible. I didn't get a lot of the itching and stuff that people always say that they have. So I did get lucky in that, but I just hate I don't have time to not be able to do things. I've never been that person. I always say I'm like a shark. If I stop moving, I'm going to die. As a mother of 4 kids with a whole career, I very rarely am just sitting there doing nothing. I don't think my brain would allow it. Having one arm out of commission is so frustrating. But I've worked through it and kept doing things probably irresponsibly. But that's just me. So I'll be very happy when it's off and I can just get back to normal.
So I guess we're going to ask some not oddball questions, but just get off the beer situation for a little bit. How important is Star Wars to you?
Oh, it is extremely, extremely important. My kids are the highlight of my life. And, over the years, their love of Star Wars has just been such an important aspect of our lives. Princess Leia and Rey and Jyn Erso gave my girls something to look up to and strong, tough women to idolize. And, for my boys, Luke Skywalker and love for Darth Vader, that little bit of evil. It was just such an awesome thing that I got to experience with my kids that I really feel like Star Wars shaped a huge portion of my life. You know, the older movies I remember watching as a kid, but then getting to enjoy them with my children. And I feel like how old I am in like my time frame, I felt like it matched so perfectly because I got to enjoy, you know, the older ones. But then in my teen youth is when the second trilogy came out. And then as a mother, I got to experience it again with my kids. And so like I just gotten to hit all of those points, and just seeing it grow over time and what it's become and just the stories behind them has just been amazing. And I feel very, very lucky to be living in the time of Star Wars. You know, I know there's a lot of fans out there that get super picky about the movies and you know, all that stuff. And for me, I'm just happy to be here. You know, like I think the storyline is incredible. I think the characters are incredible, and it has, you know, just those have added so much to so many lives. Star Wars has changed people's lives, and that's incredible to say. You know, just from an idea that came out of George Lucas's head. Like, he has shaped people's lives, and that's amazing. And, you know, and you look at, you know, stuff that goes on in the world, and then you look at stories like Star Wars, and that teaches you that right from wrong, that battle of good versus evil. And it's just another way for, you know, people to learn and to grow and be able to have someone that is a totally fictional character, but still be like, I aspire to be that. I aspire to have those morals, those feelings. You know, will I be able to step up and fight? You know, yeah. And so yeah, for me as a mother and just a woman myself, like I feel that the Star Wars is so important and has been a huge staple in my life, and I'm very, very grateful for it. That's for sure.
It definitely sounds like you're part of the Rebel Alliance. Am I correct in this?
Yeah.
Right.
we were discussing.
Sure. You know, I have both tattoos, and it's funny because I have my Rebel Civil and I have my Imperial. And people always ask me, and they go, "Well, which are you?" And I have always given the same answer. Everyone is a little bit of both.
Well, I'll take.
You know, you look at Luke Skywalker. He had a hard time. Kylo Ren, like. Everyone has that little bit of both. It's just what you do with it and which you allow to control you. And I'm stuck with that. You know, am I more of a rebel? Absolutely. But are there times where I'm a little more on the Darth Vader side? Oh, yes. So it's nice to have both.
So if you're going into battle with the Rebel Alliance and you had one last beer to drink, what would it be? Or
even if you're just taking beer.
Yeah,
like you're taking beer, so it's like the day before, the couple hours before. What are you taking prior to battle?
And preferably not a Rogue One scenario, but let's say one we're going to get. We should hopefully get out of this. Okay.
If I'm heading into that, it's tequila. No, for me, one of my most favorite beers, and it was the one that I had wanted to get. For this, but wasn't able to, was there is a brewery out in Murrieta that is called 8-Bit Brewing. And they are my favorite brewery. They are one of my absolute favorites. And they have a much nerdier side that totally speaks to me so very much. But they have a kettle sour called Mario Tart.
Oh.
And they like to switch up the flavors a lot. And so I love every time they put a new one out, I'm like, I have to go get it because it is incredible every single time. The last one they had, oh my gosh, what was it? It was a pineapple mango. It was like drinking, not exactly a smoothie, but like, oh, it was just so perfect. It was incredible. And like they're on point with their sours every single time. So I feel like that one, I would take that one in with me.
Nice.
Which sounds weird because I'm such a hazy lover, but there's something about a really good sour that I'd be like, you know what? The Mario Tart is the one that I would want to drink before heading into a uncertain future.
But as I recalled, you are a big pineapple fan, are you not?
Yes, my favorite fruit. Yeah. And only one of my children likes it at all. All the others don't like it. But my son Remington, it's his favorite fruit as well. But yeah, I love pineapple. honestly, whenever I see pineapple on anything, I'm like, yes, I'll take that. If it's a sour
Yes,
and
please.
it says pineapple, I'm like, yes, I will have that. All the pineapple.
Other than the Star Wars, anything other movies or any franchises or anything else you're into?
Oh man, Harry Potter. Harry Potter was another huge one. You know, I know you guys have seen my tattoos. I have the Millennium Falcon on one side and I have the Deathly Hallows on another. And Harry Potter was also literally right along the same lines as Star Wars for me. It was important, you know, to my kids. We enjoyed it so much. Getting to go to Harry Potter World was incredible. And all of like those memories that I got to have with my kids, watching those movies, enjoying them, you know, finding out what house they belong in, like those are the memories that are going to stick with me forever. And you know, the storyline alone is so incredible. And then you throw all that other stuff on top of it. It's really cool. My oldest son, is 14 now, but when he had his 11th birthday, I actually got him, I went on, I think it was Etsy, and got him his Hogwarts letter. And like, it was addressed to him. And at the time he had bunk beds with my other son and he was on the top bunk. And so it was addressed to, you know, Spencer Holmes, top bunk.
Nice.
And inside it
That's
was
awesome.
his entire Hogwarts acceptance thing. And it was so cute because I remember him opening it and then he literally looked at me and he's like, Mom, is Hogwarts like a real place? Do I get to go? And I was like, oh, well, okay, well, not exactly.
Wow.
So like, but that was so fun. And then like, you know, he took his test and found his house. And for me, it's so funny because I am a total Hufflepuff. But when I took my test to find out which house I was in, when I got Hufflepuff, I was like, what?
Like, what?
Seriously? Years later, I'm like, oh no, absolutely. I am 100% a Hufflepuff. Yes. In every way, shape, and form. I do not belong to any other house besides that one. So it was funny to see how right it actually gets you, and it's cool. But yeah, it was just another, just like Star Wars, another thing that I got to share with my kids. And Hunger Games was also super big for me. I really loved that series. At the time when Hunger Games was first coming out, that was when I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was actually really into writing. And my dream career was actually to be a writer of young adults. And so I actually ended up writing an entire 150,000 word novel, which is horrendously too much for a young adult novel. But I was so into it, and you know, I was just writing every single day, and so that is another series that was super important to me. And actually, I'm actually reading Suzanne Collins put out another Hunger Games book recently.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. I'm so pulled away from the writing world now, but I had no idea she was even writing one. And so when I saw it, I picked it up and I've just been devouring it ever since. So That's really cool to see her put out another book.
Yeah. Because I'm on the movie side of things. So when they're already talking about doing the prequel movies. So that's out there.
Yeah, that would be so amazing.
Yeah.
So. This book that she put out is really cool because it's actually about President Snow and how he got his start and how he became president. So that's been because, you know, President Snow is the villain, you know, and now it's getting to see a totally different side of him where he was younger and that you sympathize with. And now it's just like, I can't wait to see what exactly happened that turned you so evil.
Right.
You know, I feel like that's another thing. Watching the journey of, you know, Anakin to Darth Vader, watching that journey of someone who goes through those struggles and does end up turning to that dark side. And, you know, some of them are able to turn back, you know. I find that also very fascinating because I find it just as fascinating as the hero. I really do.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of people are just that inherently good and, you know, always know exactly what to do and always know to do the right thing. But that isn't everyone, you know, and there are people who do struggle with that and struggle with that pull. And that's also a very real thing too. So I just as much love getting to see, you know, the rise of a villain as I do the rise of a hero. You have to be able to see both sides of everything. And, you know, it's easy to say, oh, well, this person is just a bad guy, but how did they get there? How did they become that? What were the, you know, life things that happened that turned them to that? So I really love that. I love seeing that in all in all of these series. So that's pretty cool.
And if they get that movie,
I'm really liking this.
If they get that made to a movie, I'm just curious who would be casted as the young Snow right now. Like how
that's a good question.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering
Speaking of, like,
how old
Sutherland, who would be a good young one?
Yeah, like a young. I mean, Kiefer's not.
Yeah, Kiefer's not really young anymore.
I mean, he got the plastic surgery going on, but I mean, yeah, I don't know.
He's not in his 24 days anymore.
No. Oh man, but that's a good one to think about. Who can they get for that? That's going to be a big role to take when that comes up. I'm excited for see how Robert Pattinson plays Batman. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that's going to be super interesting. I feel like a lot of people were very surprised by that casting, but I'm curious to see what he can do. For me, and I have no problem admitting it, I was a total Twilight lover. I was a total Twihard. I used to throw Twilight parties with my friends and my stepmom every time a movie came out.
Oh, goodness.
Like, I would do the whole 9 yards to make invitations. Oh, God, it was so bad. But I loved the Twilight series. I did. So, like, I already really liked Robert Pattinson, and so, but I feel like he got a lot of crap from doing those movies. So I feel like people didn't realize that he's actually a really good actor.
Yeah.
So I am super interested to see how he does, and I trust them to choose the right people. If they think that he was the best choice to do Batman, then I can't wait to see their spin on it. Because that's the other thing is I feel like a lot of people, when casting gets put out there, so many are so quick to judge. But what people forget is that whatever movie it is being made, that is the writer and the directors, that's their vision. That's how they want to do their movie. And especially you see a lot with the Star Wars fans, they get real crazy about, that's not how it's supposed to be, and this is awful, and this, that, and the other. But for me, I'm more of, they took their spin on it. That was their vision, how they wanted to write their movie, or, whatever it is. That's how they saw it. And so I kind of like getting to see all the different, versions of it. You look at Christopher Nolan and the Dark Knight series, and incredible.
Very
but
incredible.
Then you go back to old school Michael Keaton, and, and that is incredible. So I like being able to see all of the different versions, or I even enjoyed, oh my gosh, what was it? The show. What was it? Arkham? Oh my gosh, I haven't watched it in forever.
Oh, Gotham, right?
Gotham, oh my gosh,
yeah,
Gotham. Such an idiot. Yes, Gotham. I enjoyed watching that. That was a really cool spin on it. To get to see the Penguin start from his beginnings, and I like seeing our base love of these characters, but so many people taking different spins on it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what we're here for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take something that we already love and dress it up in this way, then dress it up in that way, and just do different things. And I'm here for all of it.
Yeah.
I want to watch all of them. Some of them I may not like. Some of them I'm going to absolutely love. But at the same time, that was someone's vision, and that's how they saw that character.
One of the things, what you just said actually kind of reminded me of something. I don't know if you read Gregory Maguire books or anything, but The Wizard of Oz and how Wicked and all that stuff, and the Stepsisters books and all the spins.
Oh my gosh, Gregory Maguire. Yes. It's so funny. I was super into all of his books, and he didn't just do Wicked. He has done a whole bunch of books like that. Like, he wrote Mirror Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
He did a bunch of those. I was so into those books, again, because it was a different way of looking at things. I think one of my favorite ones was what was it? Tales of the Ugly Stepsister?
Yes, yeah.
I loved that one.
Yep.
That one was so good. So again, I'm totally on board with all of those things. Yes, I love that, getting to see someone else's spin on it. But Wicked was amazing, man. What that turned into, and then the Broadway musical, and Idina Menzel. Oh, that was incredible. My sister Katie and I was totally in drama all 4 years of high school, and my sister was also way into drama, and she did a lot of musicals, and she's an incredible singer. And so her and I, when Wicked went to Broadway, we were just obsessed. And at that time, it was also like when Chicago came out and stuff like that. So we were just singing to Wicked all day long. But that brings back such good memories. You guys read any of those books? Any more of the Gregory Maguire ones?
Yeah. I read Wicked. there's a couple others. I have books. My wife has the books, but I haven't dug into them yet. But I know about them, and I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan, so all that stuff intrigued me, and especially the old stories. Like, did you ever see the old Return to Oz movie with Feruzia Balk?
I don't think I did. No.
That's the one you need to check out. I think it's on Disney Plus if you got it.
I think so too. Yeah.
The Return to Oz is very dark.
We have that. We live on Disney Plus, so
yeah, it's a very dark movie. It's got Feruzia Balk. She's a little Dorothy in it, and like everybody's turned to stone. It's really weird, but it's awesome.
I will definitely check that out.
Yeah,
for sure.
Check it out for sure. Yeah, do it because it was an '80s movie. I think it was like late '80s when that came out.
Yeah, I think so. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Not early.
Crazy Wheelers and the Stone King, all that stuff. Oh man, Stone King stole the ruby slippers. It's all messed up. It's all messed up. But so we definitely thank you for joining us for this. This has been a lot of fun, and thank you for.
Of course, I'm so glad you guys had me on. This is awesome.
Yeah,
I love what you guys are doing. You know, it's because of people like you guys. You know, that we do as well as we do. You know, I appreciate that you guys give this support and love all of us breweries enough and want to showcase us. You know, that is so important. We need to be able to see like the love that, you know, our customers have for us. It lets us know that we're doing the right thing. So, you know, I'm super appreciative of you guys. Thank you guys for all the support that you give and loving us enough to want to give us your time and want to ask us things. So thank you to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. It's just and it was great just being able to drink a beer in a tap room again. It's been months.
Right?
It's been months.
So nice to see faces again.
Oh my goodness. But Britt, thank you so much for being on here, and thank you for you know, all that you do and all that you do for Backstreet. We'll always say good things about Backstreet. I think
yes, definitely.
I think every other show I say something about Backstreet. So
just as we were talking about those movies, we polished off a Backstreet Mexican lager.
We did. we did secretly.
Yes, yeah, we just canned those this week. You know, our Mexican lager is definitely going to be the perfect summer beer. So we canned those in our 16-ounce cans that are available at the tasting rooms now, and super happy with how they turned out. I really love the artwork, and yeah, I'm excited to have another one of our beers.
Yeah, me too. It's pretty much like for me. We were talking about what our go-to beer is, and I brought up 805. Your Mexican lager is just absolutely incredible, and I love having it in the house, and being able to just grab it at any time now is perfect.
That's what we're here for.
Yep.
I'm glad that we.
And I'm glad you guys.
Happy.
And I'm glad you guys listened, because I think it was episode 13. I actually said you guys need to put these in cans.
Yeah, right.
Because we were talking about the animation IPA and the blonde ale and everything.
Yeah, we're about ready
blood
to
orange.
We're about ready to open a blonde ale now.
Yeah. So, but I was like, please can the Mexican lager. So thank you for listening to me.
Well, we heard you and we listened.
All right. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you guys.
And for some reason, I got into KFC's Twitter feed, right? And
oh my God!
Do you know about
KFC kills me.
Okay, but do you realize that they only
so funny? Whoever is controlling their Twitter.
Do you realize that they only follow 11 people?
Yeah,
and it's the Spice Girls,
spices, right?
It's the Spice Girls, and 6 guys named Herb.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it.
Herbs and the spices.
It was awesome. I couldn't
stuff
believe
like that.
it.
That is so funny.
I was just like, what the heck is this? They only follow 11 people, and I looked at it, and I'm like, it's the Spice Girls and Herb. And then I'm like, oh my God, okay.
Did you see what they sent? So they actually sent a huge painting to the first guy who ever figured that out.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
It out, and he posted on a thing, and then they sent him this crazy painting, and
he's like being piggybacked by Colonel Sanders, and he's got a drumstick in his hand.
Nice.
Yes. Oh my gosh, dude, I love stuff like that. Like, that's so smart.
Social media is awesome.